Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't let Mr. Hall go without asking him a question. I'm kind of confused as to why you would be against this when this is probably one of the more regressive taxes that we have. And it's like the biggest stone in the shoe of most people that you ask, like, what do you hate the most about it? And more often than not, I hear car taxes. But when I say regressive, is the lower, this really would help the lower earners among us. Right now, it's such a crazy tax that you can have a car that is probably worth $10 more than scrap value, but because the native clean value it could be $3,000, that person is paying tax on, and basically what he's paying in taxes is worth more than what the car is worth. So you can't get a more regressive tax than this. I'm just wondering if you, in your expertise, can speak to that.
So there's a couple of pieces of that. Certainly, the fact that this tax is, on balance, modestly regressive is something that we weighed considerably. As has been noted, there are thousands of people in Rhode Island who probably, because they can't afford one, don't have a car. And so for those folks, the folks at the very bottom aren't seeing any tax relief here. So that certainly factors into our thinking as well. At the end of the day, I think our concern primarily is that the size of the revenue loss here and the fact that such a significant portion of that ends up in the pockets of people who really aren't in great need. Certainly they're paying a significant amount in car tax, but if you own a $40,000 car, presumably that's because you can afford a $40,000 car and the taxes that come along with that kind of lifestyle. At the end of the day, we want to ensure that Rhode Island still has the revenues that it needs to address the pressing concerns of all citizens to have a strong economy and one that allows shared prosperity going forward.
But that is exactly, you spoke to my point. If you have a $40,000 car, you can afford it. It's really not a factor. But if you can only afford a $300 car, but native clean value thinks it's worth $2,000, then that's the person that you're hurting the most.
And that's why we are, if you look at this proposal in its totality, there are some pieces of this that we like better than others. The fact that we are, phasing in higher exemption, that certainly is helpful both for lower income communities and for lower income people. I think at the end of the day, what I would suggest is that the General Assembly perhaps require, a 2-year a reevaluation of the fiscal appropriateness of this, perhaps at 2-year intervals going forward. It's fine for us to say right now, if we dig deep, we can find $25 million. It's quite another thing to commit this General Assembly and future administrations to a cut that is really that large.